All right, everybody is starting to make their way into the webinar. So we're just going to give everybody just a moment to find their seats. I hope everybody brought a light snack and a bottle of water so you can stay hydrated. We got a lot of ground to cover today, but it's all really great information that you're definitely going to want to hang on for. We are super excited to be bringing you the May edition of VRM Insider. It has, we wanted to start off by saying we apologize for the confusion early on when we were sending out the registration. We did have some dates that needed to be changed around. So we do appreciate everybody's patience with us with that. We hope it didn't cause a huge inconvenience, and we're super excited to have everybody joining with us today. We know it's not our normal day and time, but you guys are here, so that's fantastic. And hopefully you are, excited to hear what we have to say as far as our roundtable conversation, but not just that, but also our conversation with RevMax and an exciting new pricing tool that is going to be available for VRM clients. So you're definitely going to want to hear more about that. All right, before we get too much further into today's webinar, let's just make sure we cover a few housekeeping things. As always, this is being recorded, so this will be available for replay for everyone who's listening, or perhaps those who weren't able to join us live and you want to share it with one of your office mates. You can do that. You're going to get that in the format of an email. It will also be available on the VRM admin console, and then you will also be able to find that in our blog section on our website. So 3 different ways you can access that information as far as the replay is concerned. We will also have the Q&A section live today. So if you have a question during the webinar that you would like to ask, all you have to do is click on that Q&A button and ask your question in there. If we're at a place where we can stop and ask that question, we will. If not, we'll roll on and we'll have questions at the end. As you can tell, Lauren is with us today from VRM. There's your VRM Client Success Manager and myself. So we will be monitoring that window for you and just making sure if you have any questions that we can get them answered. And if for some reason we don't answer them today, don't worry, we will reach out to you personally. We will grab your name, we'll grab your question, and Lauren or I will get back with you or pass you on to the person that can help answer your question. Right, Lauren?
That's correct. Thanks.
All right. So we're so excited that you're here for our roundtable / RevMax webinar. And I actually pulled the wrong slide. I just realized that this was the wrong one with the old date on it. So sorry about that. But you're here and welcome. And you're going to see hopefully some smiling faces back at you. We have with us a little bit of a change up. So just staying in true format with this webinar, why not change things up a little bit more? And we have with us, instead of Kimberly Miller today, who would unfortunately at the last minute was not able to be with us, but we have a pitch hitter stepping in, Adam Norko, who you guys have met before, so this is not a brand new face to you. Adam is Inhabit IQ's Senior Vice President of Sales for the vacation brand side of Inhabit IQ. And so thank you, Adam, for stepping in at the last minute and stepping into Kimberly's shoes. Some big shoes to fill, might I add, but we're putting your feet to the fire.
Yeah. I'm happy to be here. Happy to do it in the spirit of baseball season. I'm happy to be that pinch hitter. Like you said, I'm not sure I can fill Kimberly's shoes, but I'll do my best.
And then we also have with us Miller Hawkins, again, not a new face to any of our VRM clients because he is a VRM client, but he is also the owner over at Booe Realty, and he is the president of the Vacation Rental Managers Association. So Miller, thank you so much for being with us today and joining us for this roundtable discussion.
Thank you, Tracy. Appreciate you having me here, and I'm looking forward to sharing what I know about VRM and for all the many years I've been a part of the team there. Thank you again.
Awesome. So we're not gonna hold back. We're just gonna jump right in if everybody's okay with that. Like I said, I hope you brought a snack just in case you need a little sustenance along the way, because we got some things we're gonna sink our teeth into. So we reached out and asked, actually Lauren did. Lauren reached out to some VRM clients and asked, hey, do you have any questions that you would like to ask during this roundtable conversation? If you guys will remember back to our days when we had VRM University in Wilmington, we had done some fast pitch roundtable conversations where you got to bring your questions and then ask them of our different department managers. Well, this is similar to that, but you're going to get a representative from Inhabit IQ, and you're getting the VRMA president / a fellow VRM client answering some of these questions. So are you guys ready, Adam and Miller?
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump right in. All right, this question is for Adam. Adam, this is from one of our clients who's asking, we keep hearing that Inhabit wants to invest in VRM and that the software isn't going away. How are some ways you are planning to invest in VRM to be sure it is at top of industry standards?
Yeah, that's a great question, and one that rightly so is being asked of us. I think that to take a quick step back, I don't think Inhabit as a whole did a great job of advocating for VRM, or at least sharing the message about VRM as Inhabit came into this industry. There may have even been some rumors that it was going to be sunset. And I want to be very clear that we are fully in support of VRM. We see the value that VRM offers. And for anyone that I haven't had an opportunity to meet, I've been in the industry for 15 years. I live up on the Outer Banks. I worked for Seaside Vacations as a director of marketing for a number of years. I was with Point Central for a number of years. I was with Breezeway for a number of years. So I've interacted not only with this industry, but with VRM clients for 15 years. I see the value and the passion and the love that the VRM clients have for this product. And there is definitely a need in this industry. So Inhabit fully supports that. We want to continue to build that. And there are a variety of different ways that we can continue to improve on the great foundation that VRM has. So one of those is that Inhabit's building this ecosystem of collaborative companies. We're best in class brands, and we've got digital marketing with Blue Tent, Q4, BizCore. We've got a number of different property management systems. We've got a revenue management system that you'll be hearing about at the end of this with RevMax. We've got data analytics with LSI. These are all best in class products that are coming together to form this ecosystem so that we can start to build around this ecosystem. It's a very big opportunity for VRM because we're going to not only leverage the great talent that comes with those best in class brands, but we're going to be able to leverage the products and the services that also come along with those brands. So digital marketing is a great example. Having a nice tight alignment with digital marketing where you can get a website, you can get PPC, email marketing, all of the pieces that go into promoting to not only the guests, but also homeowners, and starting to have homeowner acquisition. That's an area that we're really focused in. All of those tools are now going to be easily at your disposal with a lot of different opportunities to choose which is going to be the right fit for you. In addition to that, we've got some products. So I mentioned RevMax. We're also looking at a homeowner acquisition tool that we're continuing to build. But RevMax is really a great example because that was built in Streamline. It grew up in Streamline, and we are making it a standalone module where we can then pull it out of Streamline and start to offer it to other Inhabit companies. So VRM is the first opportunity for anyone outside of Streamline to have access to RevMax. And that's why we're excited. We wanted to get Desiree on the call here to share a quick overview with you, because there's a huge opportunity to start to leverage this revenue management. LSI would be another great example. Works very closely with RevMax to help give the data that builds into some of that revenue management. But the big opportunity is starting to leverage across these IIQ brands so that we can start to not only take the resources from a personnel and experience perspective, but also from a products and services perspective, and start to give back to that VRM client base.
Awesome. Not bad for a pitch hitter. Not bad at all.
I told you I'd have some opinions on these questions.
And I am thankful for those opinions. All right, Miller, you're up. You ready to bat? All right,
Yeah.
Miller, we know that you are a big advocate for VRM, says one of our VRM clients. Why is that? What are your favorite features of the VRM software system? And what does VRM offer that other companies don't?
I'd like to answer this question with the third one coming first. And to piggyback on what Adam just said, this is the reason that I joined VRM, gosh, over 10 years ago. I mean, we've been with VRM when we were with Property Plus and that got sunsetted. And, you know, I went and looked at every software company out there and talked to every one of them and got the dog and pony show. And one of them was with VRM. And the products that they were showing that they had at the time, I was with my staff and we immediately said, well, you know, how come, you know, it doesn't have this? You know, we would like to see it do this. And we had 4 or 5, you know, items on there that VRM did not offer. So about 3 weeks to a month later, I got a phone call back from VRM and they said, okay, the suggestions you made are now live and they're on the platform. They're part of our software. And I went, that's great, but you know, I'm not a client. So why would you do all this? And they said, well, because we believe in the product and, you know, we took your questions and your comments and we said, this is a pretty good idea. So we implemented them and they're part of the software system now. So, you know, with what Adam says, with the products that you all are constantly bringing out and so on, I came on board. And it was what a fantastic move it was coming on board with VRM. Am I a big advocate of VRM? Absolutely. I'm sitting in VRMA conferences for over these years, and you always hear someone will stand up and say, hey, I'm, you know, John Doe, and I'm with such and such property management system. And, you know, everybody talks about the software system they were with. Well, you know, at the very end, I'd sit around and I go, okay, no one's ever standing up and talking about VRM. It's this little small company in the Outer Banks of North Carolina that I believe in and is doing a hell of a job for us. So I would stand up and I'd say, has anybody ever heard of VRM? You know, they're doing a great job, by the way. And people would look at me and they'd say, yeah, it's a little small company up in the Outer Banks, North Carolina. Well, that little small company is not a little small company anymore. And with what you all bring to the table, and you always have open minds and open ears, and your support team is phenomenal. The favorite feature I think is the reporting, but it's you all being there to listen to the client and what we want. For instance, 6 months ago, I came to you all and I said, you know, I've been asked this question about, you know, how my summer's looking and how does it compare to last year? And I couldn't find that report. So I got on the phone with your support team and we had, you know, a couple of conversations. Well, lo and behold, that system, that report's now on there and everything. So what I like best about you all is you listen to the client and you don't just say, okay, duly noted, we'll try to get to that in next year's budget. You go out and you do it. And if it makes sense to you all, and then you not only provide it to me, but it's now, you know, open and provided to all VRM clients. And it's a great relationship that we have working with our team and your team. The response time to your support tickets is phenomenal. You know, again, it's a win-win. It's very, very easy for me to advocate for the VRM software when I'm out there, either on stage presenting something or in a session when people are talking about PMS systems. You know, it's easy to advocate for you all.
We appreciate that, Miller. Thank you so much for that. And we also appreciate the fact that you don't only sing our praises. When you see something that you need, as you mentioned, you reach out and let us know that means as much to us as the praise, because it means we've got a great relationship with you and with our clients, and that you guys feel like the door is open for the good and the bad. And that's what we want. So thank you very much for that.
Awesome. All right. Next question. We're still in the VRM vein, but this question is for you, Adam. Where do you see VRM in 5 years, 10 years?
Sure. Yeah, I think that VRM is going to be bigger and stronger than it's ever been within the next 5 or 10 years. And I'll echo Miller's sentiment there. I think that we recognize, Inhabit, the VRM team, we recognize that the best ideas tend to come from clients. So we are actively seeking that feedback. We're going to continue to use the resources that we have internally to develop and bring you the tools that we think are the best fit. But at the same time, we need people like Miller that are coming back to us and telling us the tools that we need so that we can focus on those. And I've mentioned a few of them, right? LSI, RevMax, homeowner acquisition. We're looking at where those gaps are in the industry and within property management systems, and we're trying to fill those, whether or not that's with a specific VRM tool or it's with an overall Inhabit tool that we can then plug into VRM. We want to make sure that we can move quickly to stay ahead of the curve, to give you, the VRM client base, the tools that you'll need to be able to continue to grow. And with that, I think comes the advocacy that Miller has been talking about. So going back into the industry, making sure that not only Inhabit, but VRM has a presence at all these shows, making sure that we're standing up and reminding the industry about VRM, making sure that we've got marketing and sales efforts that are out there that are promoting VRM and bringing more clients to the VRM platform. The larger it gets, the more stable it gets, the rising tides will lift all boats. We want to continue to focus to make this a best-in-class product. It already is, but we want to continue to build on that foundation, and we want to build that client base and offer the tools that you guys need to stay ahead of the curve and the changes that are coming at us pretty quickly in this industry.
Can I ask sort of a follow-up question, Adam?
Sure.
All right, totally going to put you on the spot. So
Not a problem.
For everybody. You mentioned that as we continue to grow and we're going to be represented at different shows and things going on in the industry. As VRM does continue to grow, do you feel like our presence at those shows will grow so that we'll have more than one or two representatives from VRM there to be able to talk to our current guests or current clients and perhaps reach out to new ones? Is that something you see for our future growth?
Yeah, for sure. I think that 2022, working with a larger corporation like Inhabit, budgets become important, and you need to maintain the budgets that were put in place 6 months ago, right? So it's hard to move the ocean liner quick enough to really adjust on the current. But with that said, for sure, we want to make sure that VRM is present. We want to make sure that we've got advocates there that are not only supporting the client base, but also going out and seeking new business and continuing to grow. Now, what I will say, and this goes for all of the Inhabit brands, is that if Inhabit is there, please feel free for everybody, clients as well as VRM team members, to know that VRM is being represented at every one of these shows. With that said, Inhabit isn't necessarily a brand that this industry knows. I mean, we're getting a little bit more well-known, but in the end, we want the brands that this industry knows to be the focus. We want VRM to be that focus. We want VRM to be at these shows so that people know VRM has been around for 15, 20 plus years. This industry knows VRM. We want to make sure that we continue to put VRM in the center stage to make sure that we continue to leverage that presence.
Excellent.
Can I chime in on that, Lauren?
Please.
Yes, please, Miller. Thank you.
Inhabit is a brand that everybody knows and recognizes in this industry. We know what Inhabit has done for our industry, which we'll get into in a minute, advocacy-wise and everything. But VRM is a brand that is at these shows. For instance, you all did not have a booth in Chicago, but Inhabit was there. And if I went, I talked to Adam, and if I needed to talk to Adam about VRM, someone was there to speak to me about VRM. I think VRM needs to be at future shows, either with, as a separate booth with Inhabit or with the blue tent and your other products that you have. But as far as that goes, and this will probably light up some eyes in the audience here. One thing I've been pushing for, and y'all know me, I don't mind making a suggestion. I used to go to these VRM universities in Wilmington. I went down and spoke at a conference down when it was in Orlando, everything. I'd like to see VRM getting back into the yearly conference that, like Streamline has out in Arizona and so on. But a suggestion that I made to the Inhabit team was to possibly have a one conference fits all category where it's an Inhabit conference, and all of the products that Inhabit has, from travel insurance to marketing to credit card processing, every one of you all, every one of the clients that they're the companies that you all own, I would like to see a major conference to where I can then go and have all of my companies that I use Blue Tent and I use VRM obviously, and I use Lynbrook and so on. I would like to see a conference where you all are there all under one umbrella. You know, I may expand, you know, who I use and so on, but I think that would be nice to see going forward, in the years down the road. So, but definitely would like to see Inhabit at conferences down the road.
That's awesome, Miller. And that's a great suggestion. Adam, do you think, as you're speaking on behalf of Inhabit today, that might be something that we can plan for in the years to come as far as a conference, if not the VRM University, but like Miller was suggestion, an all-in-one Inhabit user session conference?
Yeah, these are definitely topics that are being discussed actively. So the first piece, we want to make sure that we are continuing to support and promote the individual brands. One thing you'll find when you look at Inhabit is the individual brands stay intact, right? You've got some companies that make acquisitions, they bring brands in, and then they start to disseminate the teams and try to assimilate them all into that new acquisition. That's not the approach that Inhabit takes. We acquire somebody, we maintain those brands, we maintain those teams. We want to keep these great personnel and the great resources that are here and maintain those brands. So I think from a VRM perspective, we should definitely talk about individual conferences sooner than later. From a collective Inhabit conference, this is one that's been talked about quite a bit. I love the idea. I think there's a lot of people on the team that love the idea. The only caution that we have right now is we don't want to dilute any of the other conferences. So that VRM conference that we're talking about, we wouldn't want to dilute that one by having some sort of larger conference. So I think it's just a matter of balance at this point, but these are definitely things that we're discussing.
Excellent. So then it sounds like, Adam, in the next 5 to 10 years, VRM is going to continue to grow as far as the features that we offer, the staff and resources that we have available, and our presence as far as being there publicly at conferences and having our own user sessions.
100%, all of the above. And that is my focus. That's Inhabit's focus. We want to continue to build upon the great foundation that VRM already has.
That sounds great. I think that makes all of us at VRM and all the people that are using our product very happy to hear. So thank you very much for sharing that.
Sure.
That is definitely great to hear. And I know our clients are super excited to hear that as well. All right, we're ready to move on to our next question. So now we're transitioning over to some questions about right to rent. So Miller, this one is for you. Our clients have heard about right to rent several times now. We've done several webinars. They've been to some conferences. They've heard about this right to rent thing. They've seen it on the VRMA website. So as a president of VRMA, why are you such an advocate of the right to rent program?
That is such a great question. And I will try to limit my answer because this is all I talk about, it seems like recently. In addition to being the VRMA president, I am such a believer in the advocacy efforts that VRMA has out there on the ground. I'm also the chair of the Advocacy Fund Committee this year for VRMA. We have a goal to raise $500,000 this year, and we are just shy of that goal already in May of reaching the $500,000 goal. Right to rent is crucial. I mean, there's no other better word for it. It is crucial. It's borderline mandatory. I think what Inhabit IQ has done for this area of the VRMA, there are advocacy, there are regulatory issues that are popping up all around the country every day. And as I've said on stage many times recently, it's not a matter of if, it's when the regulatory issues are going to affect your business. I don't care where you live. Here in Myrtle Beach, we've had an issue pop up in our backyard. We've had 4 issues pop up in South Carolina recently, and our main industry in South Carolina is tourism. So these people, once COVID hit, it started getting worse and worse. And when Inhabit initiated this right to rent program, I think I was the beta tester for VRM. I immediately jumped on board, and it's a $1, $2, or $3. I think I tried to put in $5 for a reservation to go in there because it's such a crucial part of our industry that if you want your business to succeed, when the regulatory issues hit your neighborhood, you're going to need VRMA, and you're going to need the advocacy efforts and with the government affairs that we have on our radar screens on constantly. You're going to need these dollars, these precious dollars, to put down these regulatory efforts that are coming up and rearing their ugly head. So right now, the right to rent is so easily onboarded with when you're a VRM client. You click a button. When the reservations come in, they are dispersed at checkout, and a check is automatically written to VRMA in the Washington, D.C. Corporate headquarter address. You don't ever see the money. It's in your escrow account with the money, but then it goes straight out of your escrow account, straight to VRMA. VRMA will use this money to fight these efforts that are around the country. One thing, as I kind of got off on a tangent about these conferences a while ago, one other thing that I'm bringing up to Inhabit, have brought up to them recently, is I think that the right to rent program ought to go to the homeowners as well. It is the homeowner's property that we are protecting. So I feel like it should be a mandatory $1, $2, or $3 or whatever it is that we hit the homeowner with per reservation as well, which will basically double the right to rent the right to rent efforts that Inhabit has put in place. So 3 years ago, we raised about $50,000 with VRMA and our advocacy efforts. 2 years ago, we raised $150,000. Last year it was $440,000. This year, and this is without right to rent at all. And now that right to rent is on this, it's just gonna exasperate what from here going forward. So when we top over the $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 this year, that combined with the right to rent is going to be needed. It's not that we're just building up these reserves to fight something that pops up. Hawaii is getting crushed out there with the 90-day moratorium they've got on rentals and everything. Like I said, it's not if, it's when it's gonna hit your locale, and it's gonna affect your business, and they're gonna try to shut you down or limit you so bad to where you're gonna be out of business. So yes, I am very passionate, as you can probably tell, about the right to rent program that Inhabit has put in here. I think I was the first client with VRM to check the box to start collecting money from that and sending it to VRMA. It is 100% needed, almost to the point where it needs to be mandatory, in my opinion.
I think that's great, Miller, and I think you're right. I think you were the first beta tester for that program. And then with that being said, if anybody else out there watching or listening today has additional questions about that or how to set it up, please contact the help desk and we'll be happy to help you with that. Or if you want a more passionate response, feel free to reach out to Miller. I'm sure he'll be glad to share his thoughts with you as far as why this is a good investment on your part. But yeah, we would love to hear from you guys if you do have any questions or concerns about that or want to start using it. Thanks, Miller.
Yes, and we'll be sure to link to our previous webinars where we have talked about right to rent, which Miller has been on there as well, and he shares his contact information. So if Miller's still amiable to that, we'll put those links in the notes of this show as well.
Yes, and please do. And when something does affect your neighborhood and something does affect your town or your county, please know that VRMA has a government affairs department that has the radar screen. We're partnering with other industry colleagues out there where these things pop up. If you need help on fighting an issue that's in your neighborhood, reach out to me and I can put you in touch with the government affairs team and to how to tap into these advocacy funds to spend toward economic impact studies, cost of compliance studies, housing affordability studies. They're out there and we can help you.
Excellent. Thank you, Miller.
Awesome. All right, Adam, right to rent. This question is coming in from one of our clients who says, I've seen Inhabit contributing a lot to the right to rent effort, as Miller just alluded to, and we've heard before. But why does Inhabit feel like this is important? Why have they gotten involved?
Yeah, I appreciate that question too. And on a personal level, I share the same passion that Miller does for the advocacy around these regulations. To see the changes that have happened in the last 15 years and to understand the pressure that is being put on all of the short-term rentals across the country, around the world, it's impressive to see the amount of regulations that are coming, and there needs to be a stance, and to Miller's point, probably getting to a point where this needs to be mandatory, that everyone needs to start focusing on this. It's coming to everybody's backyard. If you haven't been impacted yet, it's on the way. And the nice piece about Inhabit is that they also understand that relationship. They also share this passion. We're getting industry veterans to join the Inhabit team who share this same passion. So Scott Leggett, who many people might know, been in the industry for 30 plus years out here on the Outer Banks. He is our government affairs director. So he is actually one of the people who started this right to rent idea. So let me offer just a little bit of a clarification. So first of all, the advocacy that Miller talking from a broad perspective, that's outside of just right to rent. We all need to contribute to this advocacy, and VRMA is doing a great job of this. I think the number that Inhabit has directly contributed to those advocacy platforms is about $160,000 since last fall. We are definitely dedicated to that. Right to rent is specific to Inhabit today. We're going to expand that to other PMSs outside of Inhabit, but it gives all of you as managers the ability to add this really easy fee onto reservations so that we collect $1, $2, or $3 every reservation that comes through. Very easy, flip of a switch on the VRM side, you choose how much, and now all of a sudden this fee starts to get collected to go towards this advocacy programs. I do agree with Miller. I think that the homeowners is a great next step. I've got a note here to talk to Scott Leggett after this call to see what we can do to start to put some pressure there. To Miller's point, homeowners have a bigger impact with these regulations than even the guests do. So I think that's a great opportunity. But I think big picture, to answer this question, we're partners with all of our clients. We're all involved in this industry. We understand that as the regulations come in and limit the way that we can do business, and in some areas even end the ability to run that business, we've got to be the ones that are out there fighting back. And it sounds like a lot of money when we're on this call and we're talking about how much has been raised, but in comparison to the people that we're battling against, in comparison to those hotel groups, we are not even scratching the surface with the amount of money that needs to be raised.
We appreciate your enthusiasm too, Adam. So thank you very much for sharing that. And I know that you speak for the entire Inhabit team when you say that. So thank you.
For sure.
All right, we're going to go a little bit rapid fire into our next set of questions, only because we want to make sure we have plenty of time for our RevMax presentation here at the second half. So here we go, rapid fire. This one's for you, Adam and Miller both. What impact do you think the larger worldwide companies like Evolve, Vacasa will have on the smaller privately owned companies like VRM? And do you think it'll affect Vrbo, HomeAway, Airbnb, and such?
Yeah, I'll jump in first. So it's interesting to see this evolve over the last, 5, 10, 15 years. We've seen some history of this. ResortQuest tried similar things to this, a number of years ago. It didn't go over well. I think if you look at Vacasa's progress, you could argue that it might even be in similar lines to what ResortQuest is doing, not really having the on the ground boots that understand the guests and understand the homeowners and can offer those services. I think that it's going to be successful in the long run with Evolve and Vacasa, Airbnb, Vrbo. I think that they're going to continue to be around. I don't think they'll disappear like ResortQuest did, but it'll be interesting to see how that model evolves and what the impact is. I believe that the impact on the smaller markets is going to give people an advantage. You've got the local understanding. You are the local experts. You can provide this local attention. I think the one big opportunity is that if you are in a position that you want to sell, anybody who's on the vacation rental management side, it's probably a great time to do that, right? I think there's bidding wars out there trying to get these smaller companies. The growth that they're looking for is going to be very difficult to get from acquisitions. You've got Vacasa, you've got V-Trips, you've got Village holding companies. These people are all out there trying to amass this inventory because they're trying to chase a large count. I think that operating in local markets with local guests and local homeowners is different than trying to amass large pieces of inventory. So I believe that what this is going to do is strengthen those companies that want to double down on client experience, both homeowner experience and guest experience. The ones that want to focus on operations and improving the communications, I think those are the ones that win in the long run. And it actually creates a big opportunity for those managers that want to focus on what they're really good at, which is managing their local teams in their local markets.
I'll chime in. Yes, consolidation is definitely happening right now. There are a lot of companies that are getting bought up. A lot of companies that I swore would have never sold. And they're dropping like flies. And I think now is the time where a lot of property managers who built up their company property by property, they amass their inventory for the most part by going out and meeting with these homeowners, having them come to the office in their conference room and bringing them on their rental program. And that's how they built their company up over years. The companies, that Adam mentioned, with Evolve, Vacasa, and Village Holdings and V-Trips and so on. Yes, they're going out and buying up companies that have anywhere from 100, 200, 500 to 1,000 properties to amass their inventory. Our inventory is dropping right now from a industry-wide, not only because of something like this, but real estate is going crazy right now around the country. Mm-hmm. And some of these new homeowners are saying, "Hey, I don't want to rent right now," so they're taking it off the rental program and so on. We're still here with boots on the ground, and I think as these large companies start getting larger, and as our inventory starts dropping, I think the pendulum is going to swing back to our favor in the next few years. I'm saying 3 to 5 years, when some of these big companies that have gobbled up these 500 to 1,000 properties, these homeowners are going to be trying to deal with someone who's 5 minutes from their property or 10 minutes, or can drive up there and see what may be leaking in the ceiling below and so on. Mm-hmm. Some of these larger companies, they're not going to be able to do that as well as we can with boots on the ground. So I think the opportunity for us to grow our inventory in 3 to 5 years is going to be enormous. Not only with the second homeowners who are going to realize that renting their property or they're not using their property isn't working out for them, they're going to come back to our program. In addition to these homeowners that have gotten bought up with some of these major acquisitions are going to say, "Hey, I'd rather deal with someone local." So I think that we hang out. If you're not ready to sell right now because the price isn't right, or you're too young, or you're just not ready to get out right now, hold on to the reins, because here short term, I think the pendulum is going to come back, and you're going to be amazed what your inventory is like for the potential second swing down the road when you are ready to sell.
That's good news, and good advice too, as far as just hanging on and waiting for the second wave. Thank you both for that.
What we'll do is we'll come back a few years from now, and we'll go back to this webinar, and we'll see how accurate our predictions were, huh? All right, so I think what we're gonna do is, this is the last question. So Miller, this is the last question. I thought we had one more, but we didn't. What kinds of trends do you see in the industry regarding using tools, applications, third-party integrations to automatically adjust pricing?
That's a great question. I think it's going to be a great segue to Desiree. Dynamic pricing's been around for a number of years, and I think the need for dynamic pricing has been dramatically increased since COVID. Everybody was realizing some nice percentage gains year over year with the number of reservations coming in and so on, and they had a pretty good handle on their pricing based on their competitors. And there's a lot of tools out there that in the market that you can monitor this. When COVID hit and our industry was shut down for part of March, all of April, and most of May here in the Myrtle Beach area, all of a sudden the market opened back up. The doors opened back up, and the guests came flocking to vacation rentals. And our phones were lighting up like a Christmas tree. And, we were sitting there trying to look at our reservation boards going, well, we're filling up for the summer. This is 2020. How do we how do we get a hold of this? And should we increase our prices? Should we stop discounting? What do we need to do? So then this flew into 2021. And for a lot of people out there that are listening that I've spoken to over the past several months, 2021 was a record year for everybody. And reservations were most of us during your peak season, whether it was the winter or the summer, you were full for your peak season time periods. Well, did you charge enough money? you probably left some money on the table, you know, by not increasing your rates and not having something that was set, you know, in place to increase the rates. Because if you're 100% full, you probably could have gotten more money and you left some money on the table. So let's flow now into 2022. You know, I think 2022 is going to be another banner year for our industry. I'm hoping it's going to be another record, but and at some point it's going to be where, let's say, June in Myrtle Beach right now has pulled back just a little bit. Well, so on the other side of that dynamic pricing there, you got to look at it and say, okay, well, instead of going up, maybe we need to come down. Do I need to discount for the month of June? I don't know. So something of dynamic pricing is really, really needed now more than ever, especially over the past couple of years.
Adam, do you have anything to contribute to that before we start to pass things over to Desiree?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with Miller. I think that this is just going to become a standard, you know, in a similar way to, you know, operations tools or, you know, some of the other tools that have come along over the last few years. I think revenue management has progressed enough where the industry recognizes the value. And I think this is going to become a norm for the entire industry. And as I mentioned at the beginning, this is the first opportunity for anyone outside of Streamline to have the opportunity to use RevMax. And we have gotten fantastic reviews from everybody that is using RevMax up to this point. So we are very excited to bring this to the VRM client base.
All right, so it is my pleasure to introduce everyone today to Desiree Garcia. And before we move on too much, thank you so much, Miller and Adam, just for your conversation. I think we could go on for literally hours and just go on and on and on. There's so much information to be shared, and such a networking community here that we're building within, you know, VRM and our sister companies at Inhabit IQ and our clients, that there's so much value here. So thank you so much for bringing your wisdom and your experience to the table and sharing it with us. And Desiree, thank you so much for being with us today. And we are super excited to share with the VRM client base, as Adam just said, something brand new. It's only been available to Streamline clients, and now it's going to be available to VRM clients. And so we are excited for you to tell us how can our clients maximize their revenue using RevMax. So here we go. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so Desiree, the GM and founder over at RevMax, can share with you her screen.
Perfect. Thanks, everybody. Thank you for having me. And we're pretty excited to expand out of Streamline. RevMax, as you all know, is a revenue management system. And it was founded, I'm a co-founder myself and Maureen Schilling. So we're both revenue managers by trade, and we are from the hospitality and vacation rental industry. And knowing what revenue management functionality is available on the chain brand and all the major companies and franchisees, we understand that that's not available within the VR space. So part of our goal coming into Streamline was to build a product that could aid revenue managers in just doing their day-to-day functionality, and then also offering the automation of the bots and taking a lot of that intelligence and building it into a product that VR managers could use, because we know, not everybody even has a revenue manager, and with the complexity that everyone has wearing multiple hats, how do we go ahead and, you know, maximize your time? So one thing that is different, I guess, from RevMax and the rest of the products within the marketplace is that we are an entire revenue management solution, meaning that we will give you pricing methods. We'll also give you availability controls, so you're not just maximizing your price, but you're also maximizing and optimizing your availability, controlling turn days, maximizing your weekends, you know, enforcing your Saturday to Saturday stays, as well as complementing that with your business intelligence so you can understand how your portfolio is doing, as well as ensuring that any strategies that you're implementing are making it all the way down to every homeowner. And then in addition, of course, we want to know, how are we comparing against the market, right? So complementing your business intelligence with market intelligence to understand, are we optimizing not only against ourselves, but then also within the marketplace, are we getting our fair share? So with that, in a high level nutshell, RevMax gives, we welcome you when you get to the screen with your business intelligence. How are you doing? How are you performing year over year? What are your KPIs from an occupancy perspective, your RevPA, your ADR? What are your need properties, right? So you get a quick glimpse of who's underperforming, who's overperforming, as well as a quick look at how your company is performing for the year, your last 3 months and your next 8 months or 9 months. And then what is your distribution? So are all of your partners and everybody that you're connected to, are they attributing to your performance as you expect them to do? If your goal is to have your website be your #1 producer, but just quickly looking here, I see Vrbo is taking its fair share. How do we overpower Vrbo, or how do we, expand more distribution into different segments? I have a bunch of different partners here and they're not all performing. Why? How do I increase my exposure into those other channels? Maybe it's a rate positioning, maybe it's length of stay. Those are all of the things that we can surface and help identify and then give you the tools to optimize that. As well as just giving you also some quick stats of paid nights, ADR stats, again, bookings, how you compare against this year versus last year. Because in any analytics situation, you always need a benchmark. So before we start benchmarking against the market, we want to make sure, how are you benchmarking against yourself? We always must look in the mirror first before we look out the window. So this is just a quick dashboard. So as you come into the system and you understand what is going on, right? How am I sitting today? How am I looking? What is occupancy doing? What are need properties doing? Where do I need to take action? So from there, we give you 5 different pricing methods or strategies in order to achieve your goal, right? We talked about dynamic pricing, and we also give you, like, you can follow the market, for example. A lot of the competitors within the marketplace, it's one pricing tool. They basically put you into an algorithm and you follow market trends. Well, what if you're overperforming the market? Then following the market isn't going to help you. That's actually a disservice to you. So then we give you advanced tools so you can improve your strategy. We can also optimize your availability by length of stay. So if you have a 7-night minimum, for example, and people are searching 4, 5, and 6 nights, you're not able to book those guests because you're excluding them because you have a 7-night restriction. But what if I could tell you that if you have a 7-night stay and you want $7,000 for that week, and somebody searches 5 nights and the system still charges them $7,000, would you take it? Most property managers are going to say yes. And then that gives them the opportunity to sell those other 3 nights, either at the same price as 7 or even just for your standard nightly rate. So automatically you're able to make the same amount of money as you would for a standard 7-night stay only in 5. As well as we give the flexibility, the system will optimize your availability, where here, for example, these are blocked nights, the green. This is a 1-night open, but there's a 3-night minimum. So how is anybody going to find this night, right? With, call it orphan nights or gap nights. So we have automations of rules that you can say, hey, if there's ever a situation where I have these gaps, go ahead and open this up for me and take it. I'll take a 1-night stay. Maybe you'll take a 1-night stay with a 20% increase because you want to make sure you offset that cost. Absolutely. You have rules and the system can do that for you. As well as, just as the team was saying, from a dynamic pricing, you want flexibility and functionality. So as occupancy is increasing, you can also increase your rate, right? And then as occupancy is decreasing, maybe you want to decrease your rate. So one of the things we offer is max yield, and that's an opportunity to set a rule that says, hey, within so many days of arrival, I want to go ahead and discount my rate if I'm only, 10, 20, 30% occupied. And then let's say I'm 90 days out and all of a sudden I'm 60% occupied. Hey, that's out of the norm. Go ahead and increase my price. Or if I'm 90 days out and I'm already 90% occupied, take that price up a little bit more. But at the same time, if I'm 90 days and I'm wide open, go ahead and discount the rate. So we give the users ability to set different rules. A lot of clients today will say, hey, I have to go in every day for the next 2 weeks because my owner says if I'm not booked, drop my price. We can set that up in the system so it saves you time and the system does all that heavy lifting for you. We can also say, hey, if you have rates out for next year, you don't know what the pricing is going to be, but you automatically want to sell a little bit more. So all we have to do is just, either add a row or change this out to say, hey, I want to add, another 365 days. And within a year of somebody's booking, go ahead and just give them a 5% increase. And all of a sudden, if my occupancy starts going up or a weekend starts getting away from me, right? I can't watch 2 years every single day for 100 units. So I'm just going to set a rule that says if for some reason occupancy or a specific weekend just starts to book very quickly, I'm going to go ahead and just start increasing my price. And so what this says, if I'm within a year out and all of a sudden I'm 30% occupied, increase my price 15%. Or maybe it should be more, and maybe it should be 25%. This is completely customizable if you choose it to be. You can even double your rent. If a year out, you're already full, triple your rent, whatever you want to do. This is completely your strategy. We do have revenue managers on site, which can also help aid with some strategies if you're not sure what to do. And we can complement that with some training as well, some strategic training, as well as obviously technical training. But this gives you, the ability to just put the rules in before anything else happens. What are you doing today? How can we automate that? That's what we'll do with Max Yield. So part of this is, even Miller was saying, hey, as occupancy is increasing, increase my rate. If occupancy is not doing what it's supposed to be doing and I'm a week out and I don't have anything on the books, or I'm less than 20% occupied, go ahead and drop that rate. And then as occupancy increases, then the rate starts going the other direction. I know you're no longer discounting. You're either holding flat or now you're increasing price. So this helps so that way the system's always working for you in the back end. You don't have to sit there and have somebody go in and manually change pricing every single day. And then for the advanced user, we also have the ability to, follow the market if you want to, which that's what we call our automatic pricing. So you can follow, whatever the market's doing, you can say, hey, just follow them. We do give you the parameter to set a floor rate. So if you don't want to go below X dollars, you can set that as a whole, or you have the ability to set that per unit. You also have the ability to set a ceiling rate. So for this owner, hey, I don't want to sell less than $99, but I also don't want to sell more than 200. This is, maybe it's a 1 bedroom. And if the compression keeps pushing at $200, people are going to start complaining. I have a value prop there. We have that parameter as well. So you have the ability to set a floor and ceiling per unit or for your entire company. I talked about, well, what if you overperform the market, or what if everybody, all my inventory overperforms the market except for one home, or I just have this one unit in this random tower or in a random neighborhood. I don't need to follow, what the resorts are doing. I just need to follow like homes. You also have the ability to choose your own comp set. So if you say, hey, I only want to look at these 10 homes or all the condos within a specific management company, we can pull those in, pull the data into the system. And what that allows us to do is say, I want to set a rule. So if I just pull, let's say, all my 1 bedrooms and say, I'm going to always go below 10%, whatever my competitor's doing, except for the month of March, I want to go 25% above them. And then for the summer, I want to sell $50 above them. You have the flexibility to set your own pricing rule relative to whatever the competition is doing. So if you want to mirror them and it's just these 10 homes on your block, we can do that. If you know that it's just your 3 bedrooms by a specific management company, we can do that as well. You have full control over who's in your comp set. It's specifically your chosen list, and you have the flexibility to mirror them, sell above or sell below them. And you can do it by date. You have tons of functionality and flexibility in here. And the same thing, it can be per unit, or it could even be for a group of homes or for your whole inventory. And these are all different groups that I've chosen to select, like specifically Beach Cove 1 bedrooms, or just 3 bedroom oceanfront luxury products, etc. So you have the capacity to set a customized strategy for that. We also give you insight into how your company is performing relative to, you know, any recommended rates. So for example, here we can see what the system's recommending, or based upon your strategy rule where you're positioning yourself relative to how you booked last year and where you're currently priced at. So at least then you'll have a gauge to say, okay, well, what did I do last year? Am I selling too low? Like last year in June, I sold for $400, but right now I'm priced at $200. Okay, that owner might be a little upset, so we may need to, you know, bring that price up a little bit. Or if demand is not there, you know, then we need to bring it down slightly. But at least this gives you a quick visual to see where your home is positioned compared to last year, and then compared to the marketplace or your comp set and you've chosen of where your rates are going to go. So you definitely have insight into what's happening before you apply the logic. So you can follow the market. You can choose to set a rule against your own specific comp set. You have the ability to say, hey, if I'm booking out of the norm, you know, go ahead and set rules and pricing relative to those components, as well as availability controls and maximizing your open nights. We also give you per day control days. So if you don't want anybody to arrive on like Christmas Day or Thanksgiving Day, it's a click of a button to what we call CTA, which is close to arrival, or even close to departure. So you have functionality to control this per unit, because all your units are listed to the left, or for a whole night, or even for, you know, a whole month. You have your filters here. Within this table, we show all of your units to the left. We show all your current pricing to the right, and then how it compares, you know, per product. We also do show you the LSI data insights, transactional information. What that means is I'm pulling like product that shares same bedroom size and zip code as my list here. And out of that, within the LSI database, there's 1,370 other products. And out of those units, here's the ADR for tonight. Here's the occupancy of that group, the length of stay, how far out those guests were booking, and then your RevPA. So I can see what the market has actualized for every night throughout the year. So I can benchmark and say, okay, where's the market at and how am I selling? My comp sets, which I built already, that data also pulls in here. So I can see out of the 4 units that I searched in my 1 bedrooms, 75% of them are occupied. And the 1 unit that's left, this is what it's selling for. And then I can see in my 2 bedrooms, 67% of them are occupied. And the average rate of what's left is $550. So now I get a gauge to see what has actually happened within my marketplace, what's left to sell by a specific group that I chose to shop. So if anybody's out shopping rates on Vrbo, we'll do that for you in this, and the results come right in here to your tape chart. And then from here, I have the ability to just change my pricing per day or my nightly minimums. And I can do that in bulk. I can do that per unit. And then I also have my day of the week filters here. So if I just want to change, you know, my midweeks, I can do that. If I need to just change my weekends, we can also just do that as well. I know I went through that very, very quickly. That was a very high level of just a lot of different functionality, but I wanted to be respectful of everybody's time, as I think we have like 1 minute left.
That was great, Desiree. Thank you so much. I was taking some screenshots as we went through it, just because I wanted to capture so I could remember some of this even later. Some really, really cool functionality, and making it really easy at the click of a button to really understand where your different properties or groups of properties are positioned. I'm double checking just to see if we have any questions. I don't see any questions from any of our participants. Lauren, do did you have any questions or anything you'd like to ask on behalf of VRM clients?
Nope, not at this time. I really do appreciate looking at this, Desiree, and you taking time to show us the product. I think our clients are going to definitely benefit from it and be very excited to start utilizing this. So thank you very much.
Perfect, of course. And just to let everyone know too, we do offer a full onboarding with the team from a technical perspective. Our team is made up of revenue managers and hospitality professionals. We're not data scientists trying to advise by doing data analytics what you should be doing. We're revenue managers from the industry giving advice on how to strategically price your product and how to use the tools so you make sure that you're maximizing your revenue and increasing your occupancy.
Very cool. And I loved how you said that you even have people on hand to help with, projecting out those percentages of really understanding when you're trying to set up, how much do I want to discount a property that's 90 days out and 20% booked, like that, that you actually have like coaches, it sounds like, to really aid, and who are experts in that field who can actually help handhold people through the process.
Yes, of course. Our system is very scalable. We can get down to the, user. I've never done anything before, and we can, use this system to, like I said, increase that efficiency. And it also caters to the most advanced user who is, maybe has some more years and tenure in the industry, and they already know what they want to do, and they just need a way to automate it. And they have that flexibility as well. So we're really available to the very beginner to the most advanced.
I love it. And I think our clients will really appreciate that too. They are used to a lot of our clients, not all, but a lot of them are used to a certain level of handholding and a level of customer service that can be hard to find. And I feel like perhaps they're going to find that at RevMax. I'm really excited for that. And I think Lauren was going to say something too. Sorry, Lauren.
That's quite all right. I was just going to ask Desiree, as far as the hand holding and helping our clients with the onboarding and support, how is the best way for people to get in touch with you for that? Or this might not be the right time to ask that or go over it, but I know it's going to be a question that we get asked by people who've been watching the demonstration. So just wanted to follow up with that if we had something in place or if that was still being worked out.
We do have a RevMax, ticketing system, if you will, that they'll be able to just email and it'll come to the whole team. So it's, all hands on deck when those come through. And then we also have a RevMax Learning Center. So in the event that they maybe watch the webinar, because we'll also do webinars and training and how-to things. They can also do some self-onboarding with videos and like knowledge-based articles. And then if they need additional support, then we also offer the one-on-one with the revenue management team.
Excellent. Is that something that they would just reach out to you guys to get access to as far as the
yes
help? Okay.
Okay. Yeah, once they're interested and they want to get signed up, then we can go ahead and start giving them access into the system and giving them all of the tools that they need.
Excellent. Excellent. And I just wanted to say one more thing to our clients as they are looking into this. Make sure that if you guys are checking out RevMax online, that you're going to get RevMax.com, not just RevMax.com. That's a different product altogether, and we make no guarantees about it. So we are in support of GetRevMax.com. So please just keep that in mind as you guys are looking into that for our additional information.
Perfect.
And just as a side note, the Inhabit sales team will be reaching out to clients as well to see if anybody's interested. But by all means, please feel free to reach out to us as well.
And Desiree, we will drop in to the replay information in the blog, information on what pathway to take to get to the sales team over at RevMax. So if you can make sure that we get that by the end of the day today, so we can include that to go out with all of our follow-up information. We want to make sure that people are contacting the right persons on your team and getting it into very capable hands. And as always, if there's at any point in time you need to loop in somebody at VRM, just make sure you let us know. This is new to VRM too. We've seen some a couple of times, but it is new, and we're really excited to be partnering with RevMax to be the second company to partner with RevMax and make sure that all the steps are getting taken to make sure you're getting the support that you needed, because obviously you guys all know that that's really important to us, and making sure that we are supporting you in any of the ways that we can, even though it's not our product, because that's also important to us as well.
And we have had a question come in, and I see, Adam, you are excited to answer it. Leslie Painter asks us, does Inhabit own RevMax? Adam?
Yes, we do. So Inhabit owns Streamline. RevMax was developed in Streamline. That's why Streamline was the first client base that started to leverage it. And now we're moving it out of Streamline into its own standalone companies. But yes, RevMax is part of the Inhabit company.
Thanks,
They are a sister brand.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, did anybody else have anything they'd like to chime in before we close things up today?
The only other thing that I want to say is, again, if you guys do have questions about RevMax, feel free to reach out to us and feel free to reach out to me. I will be happy to get you guys in contact with the correct people to start getting that training in place or implementation in place. I'm happy to be your advocate for that. So just let me know, please, if there's anything that I can do to help you guys get started using this fabulous product.
All right. Well, once again, we're just so thankful for Miller Hawkins for being with us today. Adam Norko, thank you so much. We appreciate you, Desiree, for spending some time with us today to introduce us to a brand new product available to VRM clients, RevMax. Thank you, Lauren. Isn't Lauren doing a great job, everybody? It's our brand new client success manager. She is doing such a great job. We're so thankful for her. And what we are going to do is we're going to wrap things up right now for this May webinar. It went a little bit longer, but I think we got a lot of information covered in that little over an hour. So thank you so much for that. Now, what we will also do is we will be back next month. So hold on to your hats, be on the lookout for our topic and times for June's webinar. We know you guys will be in the midst of busy season, so we understand. We hope you'll catch us live. Look, I turned my camera on and I had my screen covered. I was told I'm not seeing myself. So we will be back next month in June. We know you guys are super busy, so we do want to take an opportunity and just wish you guys the very, very best luck during the next few months. We know it is like pedal to the metal over these summer months for most of our clients. And we just wish you nothing but the best as far as we hope you have the greatest employees, all the employees that you need, the best guests ever who are on the best behavior, and nothing but smiling faces and happy reviews are coming your way. And we're just so honored to be a part of that journey with you. So from everyone at VRM, from everybody at Inhabit, and our whole industry, just thank you so much. And you guys have an amazing Memorial Day. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.